thing I get asked about all the freaking time is tax. How should I go about structuring my company? Should I have an LTD? Should I be a sole trader? Etc, etc, etc. So basically what I thought I would do is I thought I would rewind back to the Meridian Mastermind, which was exactly a month ago, here at my house in London. And basically we actually discussed about taxes. I gave him a little bit of insight about taxes. Now, this was a month ago, and I have learned so much more from talking to some tax advisors, and just speaking to my accountant a bit more. Learned a crap ton, and I actually watched back over this, and I saw that there were, I think, one or two, or a few things that were worded incorrectly, or yeah, just kind of like worded incorrectly. It didn't clearly state what I meant to say, but basically main takeaways are, until you're making honestly 6 figures a year, don't worry about tax. And what I mean by that is, don't worry about it as in don't not pay it. Pay your taxes, make sure your taxes are squeaky clean. Make sure you get an accountant or you learn how to do this stuff yourself. If you don't want to pay for an accountant, even if you use just proper accounting software, if you just make sure that you have your receipts and your invoices in order, and just put them in a Dropbox or something, or use a software like Xero, Xero, you're gonna be ahead of honestly 90% of people. Most people are so useless when it comes to getting their books in order, and they just stress out at the last minute. So until you're making 6 figures a year, honestly, don't worry about tax, restructuring this, how to be more tax efficient. Just pay your taxes. One thing that I make very clear here is there is a difference between tax evasion and tax avoidance. Tax avoidance is legal, so trying to restructure so you're as tax efficient as possible. Evading taxes and not paying your taxes is a big no-go. And honestly, sometimes, like, you know, I've heard stories of people where, especially young entrepreneurs, where they just don't even realize that it's time to pay their taxes, or they didn't, you know, they're starting to make this money and they don't, like, at the end of the month when they, you know, calculate how much money they made, they don't actually put aside money, realizing that, you know, in 6 months, 12 months, or 3 months, they're gonna have to pay a lot of money in taxes when it comes to filing their you know, their personal tax returns. So I make that very clear. I talk about offshore accounts, you know, how they're actually legal. There's a lot of fuzziness around offshore accounts, and I still have just scratched, or, you know, or I'm still at the tip of the iceberg when it comes to that stuff. I talk about how they're entirely legal. It's honestly, it's kind of like using cash or cryptocurrency. Like, it's completely legal. It's just the nature of it allows for people to do illegal things. But 90% of people, or 70%, 90%, whatever percentage, they just mainly use it for the fact that they want anonymity. So I talk a bit about offshore accounts. I talk a bit about, like, when you should be an LTD, when you should be a sole proprietor or sole trader. We talk a bit about German taxes, American taxes. So guys, really excited to give this to you. Taxes is honestly one of those things. It's kind of like investing. So I always tell people, like, you know, people will always try to, like, try to get their cryptocurrency portfolio in order, or their stock portfolio in order, and they're making like 5,000-10,000 a month, and I just think it's the most ridiculous thing ever. I think honestly, until you're making $500,000 a year, don't even worry about investments, because no investment is going to pay you better than your business. If you are a business owner, which are like 99% of you guys are, focus on your business. Your business has a lot more vertical, okay? Investments are literally just for when you've got cash lying in the bank and it's not gonna do anything anyway, so it might as well work for you. So for example, next year, or even maybe towards the end of this year, I'm gonna be getting into real estate. I have some money in cryptocurrency. I don't have any money in the stock exchange, but for me, once again, until I'm making $1 million a year, which this year I will, I don't really worry about investments. And it's sort of the same thing with, I don't really worry about, you know, restructuring my taxes and my companies and stuff like that, because right now I need to focus on the most important things. In terms of tax, as I said, just, I have an accountant, and you know, they're very good, and they manage my books and stuff like that. I am getting a tax advisor to show me how to restructure next year, but just, tax is one of those things. Make sure it's in order. just don't screw around with this, because this is like, you know, it's important that you just do the right thing, which is pay your taxes and make sure your books are clean. But that's really easy to do. As I said, just money in, money out. What can you deduct from your taxes? What's tax deductible? Did you have a client dinner that you can deduct off your taxes? Did you buy a piece of equipment? Even your computer, you could deduct from your is tax deductible. These are all things that are, you know, different in different countries. And guys, this is not tax or legal advice. Obviously, you know, do your own research and contact a legal advisor, whatever it may be. You know, I can only speak on behalf of myself. So guys, enough is enough. Let's actually get into this, and I will talk to you on the other side of this video. You know, past 6 figures, you should always operate as a LTD, LLC, BV, etc. So a lot of people ask how I structure my companies. It's very different. Like an LLC is very, very different from an LTD. LLC is honestly very close to a sole proprietor, but you guys are in, so for you it would be LLC. By the way, this is, I have to say this, this isn't tax or legal advice. Yeah. Please consult a legal, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I've said it. Okay, I can't get sued. Anyways, you'd be an LLC. You guys would be, what's the German version of it? It's Einzelunternehmen. It's like a solopreneur. Yeah. You know, you gotta start operating as that. So to give you guys a bit of an example, you know, I pay, rather than paying personal income tax, I pay dividend tax now, right? So my top rank, top tier, which I was paying last, the like last 4 or 5 months of last year, was 52.5%. So I pay 50% personal income tax and then 2.5% national insurance. Yeah. Now the maximum I can ever get charged is 38%, 38.5%, I think, because that's a dividend tax. So I get charged a dividend tax rather than personal income tax.
But if you take it out of the business, you get charged personal
dividend tax.
Really?
It's the same thing. For example, one of the great things about real estate is if you make $1 million in real estate that year and you put all of it into your personal bank account, you only pay 20% maximum in this country. You pay capital gains tax. You don't pay personal income tax. Personal income tax is someone is paying you. A dividend, because my company and me are 2 separate entities. Yeah. So when the company pays out its shareholders, which is me 100%, I pay dividend. It's the same thing as what happens when Google pays, or whatever company that pays dividends pays me my dividends. I pay 38% capital gains tax or dividend tax on that. Okay. So for example, I said, say I flip a piece of real estate and I make $1 million. I only pay 200,000 in tax. It's not personal income tax, it's capital gains tax. Okay, so once again, if I invest in cryptocurrency and I make $1 million, I pay 200,000. I don't pay 50% because they're different tax brackets. Now once again, this is for UK. You have to do some research into yours. Well,
in Germany, it's kind of like if you have a GmbH, which is kind of like a limited company. You pay 30% tax max, but when you like pull it out on your personal income, I'm not quite sure.
You still have to pay personal income.
Yeah, so for example, I pay 20% corporation tax. Yeah. And then, but what I'm saying, and then I pay dividend tax as well.
Yeah, I pay personal income in Germany.
No, he doesn't get personal income. He gets
dividend tax.
You don't have that in Germany. Though.
I'm not sure.
You have to just look into it.
But not GmbH. I've talked with my tax guy. Right? He told me not to do a business yet, but because I would go to the US. But that doesn't exist. If you have a GmbH, it's like you are literally like you're employed by that. Like you're the CEO of the company, and even if you're like 100% shareholder, you don't get dividend taxes. Because you're always employed by the company.
No, it can't work like that.
Whenever you take money out of the business, you have to pay yourself and you have to pay personal income taxes.
But you can also.
But it's still you're still paying yourself dividends.
No, you can pay. No, what he's saying is you can pull up money as like a personal income, like as an employee. So
So I have to pay myself. So I pay myself through my company. Like I pay myself £891 because that's my tax-free allowance. I don't have to pay any taxes for £11,000 a year. I don't have to pay taxes on it. Yeah. And then after 11,000, you have to start paying taxes.
Exactly.
And then after that, I also do dividends. So it's the most tax efficient way.
And I think that's possible in
some way. So I can get. Once again, honestly, I haven't heard of most of my shit, and my accountants, most of them are honestly shit. So dividend tax calculator.
Germany.
I'll show you UK, but for example, so let's say, for example, I make 150,000, right? Yeah. If I pay myself that, so let's just go.
Yeah, then you have to pay 52.5% all that, right? Personally.
Yeah, let me show you. Okay, so if I make 151.
That's per year.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so I take home pay. I only make 90,000.
Yeah.
90,000 pounds as a personal, right? So if I do in gross salary and then dividends, so we put that at 1385. Oh wait, crap! One more zero. I take home 108,000 doing it through my company rather than. So I save myself an entire, yeah, near like 18 grand by doing this through my company. Okay, because I get taxed on dividends and also I get 11,000 tax-free allowance. Okay, so this is all stuff. You know, this is. I can honestly say from zero to six figure a year income, don't worry about taxes. Just pay your taxes. Don't worry about restructuring this other bullshit. If I were you, always create an LLC, because it's in America. It's so much. Because in America it's a bit different. Okay, once again, I'm not a tax advisor. Can't get sued. Here, my LTD and me, two very separate. And my LTD gets sued, it's fine. Right? Or like my LTD's income, my LTD's income is different from my income. Yeah. I've two separate financial entities. Your LLC finances and your finances, same thing. Yeah. Right? Your company is you financially. Your company is not you legally. So if he gets sued, they can't touch him. Okay? But that said, your income, the way you get the income that comes in from the LLC is your income, if that makes sense. Yeah. Right? So here, legally, I'm not attached to my company, and financially, I'm not attached to my company. In America, legally, you're not attached to your LLC, but financially, you're attached to your LLC. So what that means is they can't sue you and take your shit, but it's known that the LLC's money is your money.
Okay, so you don't pay yourself.
You do pay yourself. Yeah. You do pay yourself. There are different tax laws and stuff like that. If you send me a message after, like if you remind me on WhatsApp, I can send you a 1 hour long podcast that will show you how to structure everything. But yeah, guys, that's how I kind of structure my companies. Right now, my companies are structured. I have two companies. I have IG Media Ltd. and I have IG Online Services Ltd. Through IAG, I can both pay myself tax-free allowance from both companies. But I don't do that. So IG Media Ltd, I just pay dividends. And then IG Online Services, I pay myself tax-free allowance. So I pay myself an income and then also dividends. Yeah. So that's that. And also any money you make through the company, you can keep there for as long as you want without paying dividend or personal income tax. And that's the benefit. You can kind of like grow that kind of tax-free. Yeah. Then above that, which is going to be next year, I'm going to have a holding company. Yeah, makes sense. So I'm still deciding whether that's going to be in Cayman Islands or not.
Why would you? Can you build that up legally?
It'll cost you £3,000. It's cheap.
And how is that beneficial?
It's beneficial because it allows for anonymity, and it's a tax haven. Everything is legal. The reason people are complaining about the Cayman Islands or these tax havens is the same reason people complain about cryptocurrency. It's legal. Tax avoidance is legal. Tax evasion is not legal. Restructuring so you pay as little taxes as possible and go through every single loophole is legal. Yeah. That's the reason there's loopholes there. But avoiding your taxes and not claiming that you made money and not paying taxes on the money you've legally made, that is tax evasion and you'll go to jail for that. Sure. The issue people have with the Cayman Islands is that people will put money into the Cayman Islands, let it grow tax-free, grab a credit card, and by the way, when you have a Cayman Island or one of these tax haven, on the card it doesn't say your name. It says your company. So now you have a card that you can start spending money on your life without putting that into your personal account,
and paying it. And so when you put it into your personal account, it's minus 50%.
Yeah.
Now you can keep that 100% and spend with your card. So the issue is it's not illegal. Anyone can do it. It's not illegal. It's completely against the rules. A tax avoidance is completely against the rules, and it should be done. The issue is people misuse it.
Yeah.
Right? So, as I said, this is just stuff I want you to kind of realize.
You're not gonna pay with your business card in Cayman Islands? Yeah, you do.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't avoid taxes just because it's not worth it for me.
Yeah.
Like anything, the reason I want to go to, the reason I want to go to Cayman Islands simply is just anonymity. You know, if worse comes to worse, I don't want to have people know that I own 3 properties in Monaco.
Yeah.
Who does? Like, you know, privacy is, I'll be honest, I'm not a fan of the government, and I'm not a fan of banks. To me, it disgusts me that 50% of my money, I would be cool paying 50% of my money. Like, it's funny, the poor people, and I'm going on a little bit of a rant here, but the poor people, like people who aren't wealthy, they'll go, yeah, the rich are taking all my money. It's the funniest shit. Little do they know that I pay more than 70% in taxes. I keep 30% of what I make through my corporate tax, through VAT, through sales tax in different US states where I'm selling to, through my personal income tax. You know what? As if that wasn't enough tax, I pay council tax on where I live. I don't even own this place. I pay council tax. There's taxes for fucking everything. So the poor people, they say the rich people take their money. And then the funny shit is, my mom used to work in a hospital in the reception. The funny thing is my money is going towards benefits, supporting someone. And the funny thing is that person is going to hospital, pretending to be sick, taking the NHS's money so that they can continue to get benefits. Or my money is going towards some fat fuck who wants a liposuction, and that's where the NHS is going. Or, and the funniest thing is the government is allowing a company like Pepsi or Coca-Cola to continue working, and then the taxpayer has to pay for that person to get medical help. Yeah. So anyways, my point is, why do I want to go to Cayman Islands? It's better for tax avoidance, not evasion. Evasion is illegal, and I'm not in favor of it, but just because I don't care how much money I save. The possibility of going to jail is just not fun. I don't want to do it. I don't want to be hit with a $3 million tax fine, and you will. If you fuck with the government, they will fuck you up. Okay, they will. But I also just don't trust the government, and I don't trust banks. And the more private my money is, the better to me. And as long as it's legal, I'll do it.
Just go to Dubai, dude. 5% income tax, or even 0.
Yeah, 0.
They pay direct tax, like when they drive the streets, then they pay like a little amount of fee. But you only pay taxes once you use that kind of stuff.
Yeah, which is amazing.
Yeah, I think so too.
So, you know, that's like, obviously those are things you can, obviously myself, I'm always going to be a British citizen. I want to keep my British citizenship. But for example, I'm more than cool to move to, for example, I think Florida has really good tax, income tax. I'm cool to move to Florida.
Yeah. But California shit, for example.
California's 50%.
Yeah.
Right?
You can still go 6 months to London.
Yeah, I can still go 6 months to London.
And avoid personal income.
And then avoid personal income tax. For example, Malta's a great place.
Yeah.
Malta?
Right? Malta's a great place.
I know someone in Malta, you know him too.
Simon?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that guy doesn't pay taxes ever. Yeah. Right? That guy evades as much tax as he fucking can. But
30K a month, completely, almost passively.
And he doesn't pay taxes.
Yeah.
So yeah, like for example, Malta's a great place to go. Dubai is a great place to go. So these are all things you can start. I just want you guys to realize like what goes into managing your money at a higher level and stuff like that.
So guys, I really, really hope you enjoyed that. As I said, there's a few things that looking back, I worded incorrectly. If there's anything I got incorrect, you can go ahead and leave it down below. I don't know every single tax rule and regulation. All I can say is I can give general advice, and as I said, that is until you're making, 100 to a couple $100,000 a year, just focus on your business. Make sure your tax is in order. Make sure you don't screw around with that. Make sure if you don't have an accountant, which they're relatively cheap, depending on whether you get an accountant just to do your books or whether you get an accountant that will also give you legal advice and tax advice. If you're, you know, if you're too cheap to get an accountant, which I don't see why you would be, then just use Xero, Xero. That's an accounting software. There's a bunch of others out there. I think QuickBooks is another one. But honestly, until you're making, for example, 100,000 a year, you probably don't have that much to keep track of. So you can honestly probably do yourself. Now, guys, this is just scratching the surface of what was a 2-day event, as I said, here in my London home. Now, one of the really exciting things is I've actually got my business partner joining me for the next Meridian Mastermind. And you guys saw an interview with him, I think around 2 weeks ago or something like that. So guys, as I said, this is just the free stuff that I can put out. All of the best bits, obviously I'm not allowed to put out to the public for free. So really, I just want to make sure that you are one of the people sitting there on that couch here at my home in London when my business partner flies in from Amsterdam, joins me, okay, for an entire 2-day immersion, an entire weekend immersion. So guys, I'm gonna go ahead and leave the link down below, and you can go ahead and apply, fill out the survey. If I think you're a good fit, my system will send it through, and then we'll be on the phone pretty shortly. So guys, hope you enjoyed this, and I'll hopefully see a few of you guys at the Meridian Mastermind on the 7th to 8th of July. See you guys.
Differently now, is it ever gonna change?